Chosen one, there are moments now when you enter a space and everything pauses, not in awe of your voice for you haven't spoken, but because of something far older than language that travels with you. It is the way a woman's breath catches without realizing it. It is the subtle tilt of her head, the slowing of her heartbeat, the narrowing of her focus, not because of lust, but recognition. There is something in you that echoes in her bones, something that cannot be described, but only felt. And because it is felt so deeply and so immediately, those who observe it from the outside often misinterpret it as charm, manipulation, or coincidence. But it is none of those things. It is sacred memory awakened in real time. She doesn't know why she suddenly feels safe in your presence, why her shoulders relax when you're near, or why she forgets the performance the world has taught her to maintain. You haven't touched her, you haven't even tried. And still she leans in, quietly, subtly, as if your presence rewrites the gravity in her world. This is not seduction, chosen one. This is resonance. You are not speaking to her ears, you are singing to her soul, and the melody was written long before she was born. Others see it and don't understand. Their confusion turns to suspicion, then to resentment. And when that resentment ferments, it becomes jealousy, but not just of your connection to her. It's deeper than that. They envy that you are seen without demanding to be seen, loved without competing, remembered without effort. You represent a threat they never trained for, because you do not need attention to validate your value. You walk with stillness, and stillness is a sword in a world addicted to noise. You smile without agenda, and even that smile can fracture the ego of a man who spent his life performing for women and never once felt truly chosen. They see how she glances at you, how she glows in your company, and they burn with unspoken insecurity, not because you took anything from them, but because you remind them of what they never cultivated within themselves. This, chosen one, is the cost of your presence. You never asked to cause friction, but your energy acts as a mirror, and mirrors are dangerous to those who aren't ready to look. Chosen one, there is a connection between you and feminine souls that bypasses the mind entirely. It is not built on flirtation, appearance, or technique. It is carved out of truth, and truth does not require permission to exist. Women feel drawn to you because you don't try to possess them. You don't chase, force, or manipulate. You see them. You make no demands, and in doing so, they find freedom around you. The kind of freedom they didn't know they were starving for. It is not sexual hunger that brings them close. It is spiritual thirst. In your presence, they sense the storm beneath your calm, the discipline behind your power, the reverence beneath your strength. Your sexual energy is not chaos, it is contained fire. It doesn't burn them, it warms them. It is safe, not because it is weak, but because it is controlled. And that safety, that ancient memory of being near a man who does not need them, yet values them, who does not worship them, yet honors them, it moves them in ways they cannot explain. But others see it, and they misunderstand. They assume it must be manipulation, witchcraft, or a hidden strategy, because they cannot fathom a man being chosen without performing. They don't understand how a woman could trust you without history, or why she might speak gently to you when she is sharp with everyone else. What they miss, chosen one, is the frequency beneath your presence, the internal alignment, the sacred boundaries you carry, the integrity that anchors your energy so deeply that others can't help but feel safe when they are near you. And safety, real safety, is more erotic to the feminine soul than any costume of masculinity could ever provide. This is why they envy you, not for the women who lean toward you, but for what those women feel around you. It is not about possession, it is about effect. You affect women without trying, and in doing so, you disrupt a fragile illusion society has spent generations maintaining, that attention must be earned through noise, power, or image. But you, chosen one, earn attention by being. And that alone fractures the worldviews of those who were never taught presence. They will whisper, accuse, distort, and dismiss you, because if they acknowledge the truth, it would demand they change. And change terrifies those who have built their identity on external validation. You have become the altar at which jealousy, praise, and projection kneels, not because you asked for devotion, but because your light exposes what they tried to hide. And so, chosen one, walk with grace, but do not apologize. Let your connections speak in silence. Let the women choose you from their depth, and let the envy burn where it must, for you are not responsible for the pain your truth reveals. You are only responsible for remaining true. Chosen one. Your sexual energy has never been about conquest. It is not the kind that floods a room to claim ownership, nor the shallow, frenzied heat that fades once it is fed. No, yours is the type that simmers behind calm eyes and still shoulders, anchored by something sacred: discipline. You have mastered the part of yourself most men lose to temptation. You have not suppressed it, you have tamed it. And that taming has transformed your energy into something so rare, so unmistakably alive, that those around you do not know whether to kneel before it or run from it. They cannot define it, but they feel it. They react to it, as if their bodies recognize a kind of masculine presence that their minds have forgotten exists. Women become gentler without realizing it. Their laughter softens, their voices quiet come down, but not because you demanded it, because something about you allows them to return to themselves. You are not lustful, yet deeply magnetic. You are not loud, yet utterly undeniable. And this paradox threatens everything others thought they understood about attraction. You've become the exception they didn't prepare for. You don't flatter or convince, you simply are. And this being, this wholeness, burns away the masks others wear like second skin. Women lean toward you not because you promise them anything, but because their soul senses your energy doesn't lie. It doesn't chase, it doesn't manipulate, it just radiates. But others, especially those who rely on manipulation, status, or charm, begin to grow agitated around you. Because your very existence makes their performance look hollow. They cannot compete with you, not because you're competing, but because what you offer is not offered through effort. It is offered through alignment. They sense the fire inside you but cannot see the flame. They sense the heat but cannot find the source. It burns them gently, reminding them of the energy they forfeited when they chose shortcuts over cultivation. You are the walking result of a man who refused to spill his essence on people who hadn't earned it. And that refusal echoes in the spiritual realm. It creates gravity. That gravity pulls the feminine near, not through tricks or tactics, but through safety and presence. You become the place where their hearts can exhale. And the world does not know how to handle this. It knows how to handle dominance. It knows how to handle aggression, seduction, control. But you lead without pressure. You attract without reaching. You love without possession. And so the jealous ones gnash their teeth. They attempt to twist your purity into arrogance. They try to dismiss your presence as luck or coincidence. But deep down, they know. They feel what the women feel, and it unsettles them. Because if you are real, then everything they've built their identity on begins to collapse. That is the unspoken fire, chosen one. You did not ask to carry it, but you do. And it cannot be hidden, not because it is loud, but because it is true. Chosen one, when a woman connects with you, she does not connect with your accomplishments, your titles, or your looks. She connects with your depth. That connection is not flirtation, it is remembrance. She remembers, in the core of her feminine soul, what it feels like to stand before a man who is rooted in himself. A man who does not sway with trends. A man who does not bend to get approval. A man who can see her clearly without wanting to fix, own, or change her. That clarity, the way you see without claiming, creates a loyalty that can't be bought, forced, or earned through manipulation. It's the kind of loyalty that makes her feel as though she's been known long before she was touched. And that intimacy, before a word is spoken, infuriates those who depend on effort, image, and theatrics. They watch from the shadows as she begins to behave differently around you. Her voice is softer, her smile is fuller. She stops trying to impress, because she already feels chosen. And when others try to engage her, she responds, but her soul is no longer open to them. They feel it, they sense it, and they grow bitter, not because you took her away from them, but because she gave herself to your energy without being asked. They cannot replicate it. They cannot manufacture it. They cannot become what you are without killing the false self they've built for years. And so instead, they grow bitter. They accuse her of being naive, of falling too quickly. But the truth is, she isn't falling. She is rising into remembrance. In your presence, she remembers how sacred she is. And that sacredness creates a kind of bond that transcends words. You are not leading her into infatuation. You are awakening her intuition. That is why she returns, not to your face, not to your voice, but to your frequency. She cannot name it, but she trusts it. You don't rush her, and you don't prove yourself. And that absence of pressure is more seductive than any act of seduction could ever be. She trusts you, chosen one, not because of what you say, but because of what you do not hide. But to others, that trust is unbearable, because they've tried to earn it with all the wrong things. Money, charm, deception, and still, they fail to reach her the way you do with silence. You don't try to take her, you receive her. And in a world of takers, that receiving feels like worship. But your worship does not place her above you. It honors the divine balance. It makes her want to serve you, not out of fear or submission, but out of reverence. The world cannot understand this kind of love, chosen one, so they mock it, they twist it, they try to convince her it's fantasy, but her soul knows better. Because the moment she stood beside you, something ancient in her said, finally. Not finally a perfect man, but finally a real one. And that chosen one is the source of her loyalty. It is not to your image, it is to your energy. And those who cannot access it will always call it unfair. They will always project their envy. But you must not dim your fire to comfort their illusions. You were not made to be understood by the many. You were made to awaken the few who remember. Chosen one, you have likely noticed the shift in the atmosphere when you walk into a room, especially when the room is full of men who compete and women who conceal longing behind composure. The tension doesn't come from your words. You haven't said anything. It doesn't come from aggression. You haven't raised a single hand. It comes from the sheer imbalance your presence exposes. Without lifting a finger, without lifting your voice, without trying to prove anything, you tilt the entire room toward yourself. Men grow colder, guarded. Women grow warmer, softer. And everyone becomes aware of an invisible dynamic they can neither name nor ignore. You do not posture, but you disrupt their posturing. You do not perform, yet your existence alone becomes the measure against which every false mask begins to unravel. They do not understand how you hold so much gravity without grasping for it. How the attention of the feminine seems to pour into your orbit without needing to be summoned. They mistake it for coincidence, at first. Then they call it luck. Then quietly they begin to hate it. Because what they're witnessing is not charm. It is truth, standing upright. It is integrity woven through your voice, confidence born from years of silent suffering and inner building, strength that was earned when no one clapped. They are watching a man who has come to know himself so deeply that others must reevaluate their own identities in his presence. And it drives them mad. Because women feel you. Even before they see you. They feel a pull toward you that isn't physical but energetic. They don't understand it, but they trust it. They feel less need to explain themselves around you. They laugh more sincerely. They don't second-guess their gestures or their beauty. Around you, they become real. And when that happens, when another man sees a woman becoming fully herself in the presence of someone else, it destroys the illusion he built to feel significant. He watches her stop performing, stop shrinking, stop overcompensating, and wonders why she never did that for him. But it is not about you, chosen one. It is about the space you create without trying. A space that invites the feminine to exhale. The result? A quiet war of eyes. Silent comparisons, unspoken envy. The kind of jealousy that lives not in open confrontation, but in subtle resistance. In slights passed off as jokes, in sudden distance from people who once smiled at you. You did not provoke it with ego, you provoked it with peace. Your peace is a weapon they were never trained to face. Because the world taught them that strength must be loud, seductive, and boastful. But you carry strength like breath, silent, needed, everywhere. And the feminine senses this instinctively. It is not your body they are drawn to, it is your presence. It is not your words that turn their heads, it is the inner silence that walks before you. So the glances come. From women soft and magnetic, from men sharp and defensive. You notice, but you do not adjust. Because you no longer shrink for comfort. You no longer pretend not to see what you know. You are not here to compete. You are here to remember and to be remembered. That remembrance is your compass. And yes, it comes with a cost. You will be misread, you will be gossiped about, you will be feared even when you have done nothing. But chosen one, that is the tax of unshakable presence. It is better to be envied for your stillness than loved for your performance. So walk forward and let the eyes watch, let them misunderstand, let the tension rise. For it is in that quiet war that the world begins to sort itself out around you. Chosen one, it is one thing for people to envy you in private, but it becomes something altogether different when they witness in real time the way she looks at you. Not because you asked her to, not because you earned it through words or tricks, but because her soul cannot help itself. That gaze, that quiet, reverent, soft, unguarded gaze, is the beginning of 1,000 silent feuds for men who never received it. They see her watching you when your head is turned, when you are simply existing in stillness, not performing for anyone. They see the light in her eyes, the way she leans into your voice, the way her body responds to the energy behind your words, not just the words themselves. And it eats them alive, because they pretend not to see it. They laugh. They talk louder to drown it out. They interrupt, hoping to fracture the current flowing between the two of you. But it's too late. The connection has already been made, not by logic, not by seduction, but by alignment. You didn't capture her, you mirrored something ancient within her. You reminded her of something she forgot she wanted, a man whose power is not just physical, but spiritual. You do not chase her, you do not beg her. You are simply there, anchored, aware, and whole. And that wholeness is magnetic in a way no status, money, or charm can rival. She opens not because she is naive, but because she feels safe. Not the kind of safety taught in checklists and dating rules, but the ancient wordless safety of being in the presence of a man whose energy is not hungry, not reckless, not chaotic. She feels held even when you do not touch her. She feels cherished even when you do not flatter her. And in a world of men who have been trained to hunt, dominate, and convince, that kind of connection threatens every illusion they've built. So they minimize it. They mock you. They call you lucky or boring or too intense. They hope that by belittling the mystery, they can neutralize it. But mystery cannot be touched by cynicism. You are not asking for their approval, and that is why they fear you. You are not defending your masculinity, and that is why hers rises beside you. You are not demanding her affection, and that is why she offers it willingly. What they pretend not to see, chosen one, is not just her desire for you, it is her trust in you. That trust is dangerous to them because it breaks the narrative. It means that a man does not need to perform, deceive, or manipulate to be deeply desired. It means that a man who is aligned, spiritually grounded, emotionally intelligent, and sexually mastered will always draw the kind of feminine that terrifies the shallow masculine. And you, chosen one, are that terrifying proof. So let them pretend, let them whisper, let them judge. For every word they say behind your back, she draws closer in silence. Every false accusation only sharpens the contrast between you and them. You are not loud, you are not dramatic, you are simply undeniable. And the feminine knows what the world forgets. The deepest waters make the least noise. Chosen one, they still don't understand that your attractiveness was never crafted in a mirror. It was forged in silence, discipline, and decades of unseen choices. You do not chase style trends or sculpt your body to win temporary glances. Your magnetism is not the result of angles or lighting. It is the overflow of a spirit that has been carved through trials, refined by solitude, and sharpened by restraint. Your beauty, if they dare to name it, is a reflection of your alignment. It is the calm behind your eyes when others are panicking. It is the steady pace of your voice when the room spirals into noise. It is the way your feet are planted on the ground, like you know exactly who you are, and you do not need anyone's permission to remain rooted. Women feel that before they even hear your name. They may try to compare you to others by height, symmetry, skin tone, accolades, and muscle. But your attraction bypasses all of it. Because what they don't understand is that you don't attract through flesh, you attract through frequency. Your sexual energy is not just arousal. It is divine potential moving through a body that has learned not to waste itself. You are magnetic not because of what you show, but because of what you withhold. The world teaches men to spill themselves everywhere, to be visible, available, consumable. But you, chosen one, are sacred. You are not consumed, you are sensed. And that sensing, that pull women feel around you, is not about pleasure. It is about safety. It is about depth. It is about their bodies remembering something ancient, something their minds never learned to explain. Around you, they become still. Around you, they stop pretending. Around you, their femininity blooms, not because you command it, but because your presence gives it soil to rise in. You do not diminish them. You do not inflate yourself. You simply are, whole, aware, protective without control, masculine without domination. And in that paradox, they melt. But others cannot stand it. They dress louder, talk faster, flex harder, hoping to steal back the attention that drifts to you like gravity. They speak your name behind your back in tones that imply luck, or mystery, or suspicion. Because they have followed all the instructions, gym memberships, cologne, smooth words, and still, they do not receive the look you receive. Not from just any woman, but from her. The one who glows around you. The one who listens differently when you speak. The one who blushes, not because you made her, but because she remembered who she was in your presence. You haven't touched her, but she feels you. You haven't seduced her, but she yearns for you. And that yearning, born of truth and not tactics, burns through every game others tried to play. You become the storm they cannot outrun, the soft fire they cannot name, the presence they can neither duplicate nor dismantle. Chosen one, your sexual energy has become a living force, not loud, not desperate, but anchored. And its very existence reveals the emptiness in those who built themselves from the outside in. You built yourself from the soul outward. That is why your gaze penetrates. That is why your silence commands. That is why your absence is felt more than their noise. You are no longer attractive in a way they can mimic. You are revered in a way they can't touch. And when you walk away, it is not your appearance they mourn. It is the experience of being seen without being judged, of being near a man who needs nothing, yet brings everything. So continue, chosen one, and let them wonder how someone so silent became unforgettable. Chosen one, you are contrast in a world addicted to comfort and sameness. You are the still mountain in the storm. You are the depth they never knew existed until it exposed their shallowness. You are the quiet one in the room who says nothing and somehow says everything. When you enter, they look twice, not always with admiration, sometimes with confusion, even hostility, because something about you doesn't fit their pattern. And that disruption, that refusal to conform to the artificial mold of masculinity they've been sold, drives them to envy, because deep down they know, if what you are is real, then what they are is a mask. Women do not see you and say, I want to have him. They feel you and whisper internally, I want to be near whatever that is. You are not fantasy, you are a reminder. A reminder of what was once real, once sacred, before the noise took over. They try to rationalize it. They tell themselves, it's just the way you walk, or the tone of your voice, or the mystery you wear like a second skin. But the truth is harder to swallow. You are what they long for but don't believe exists anymore. And when women surrender to that longing in your presence, men panic. Not because you've taken something from them, but because they were never chosen in the first place. They thought proximity was enough. That loudness equaled presence. That repetition could replace depth, but you stand there saying little, doing less, and still you become the axis of the space. They hate you for it, but what they truly hate is what you represent. You represent work, inner work, the kind that can't be faked, the kind that requires a man to sit with his pain, face his shadows, discipline his desires, and choose alignment over appetite. You are what they could have been if they hadn't traded their becoming for acceptance. You are not at war, chosen one, but you are a battlefield, a walking reminder of the distance between who they are and who they were meant to be. That distance is painful, so they mock you, they throw stones, they mislabel your confidence as arrogance, your quietness as aloofness, your restraint as weakness. They say he's not even trying, because the truth that you don't need to try terrifies them more than they'll admit. But the feminine knows better. She doesn't try to explain what she feels around you because she knows some things are not meant to be explained. They are meant to be honored. You are not a game to her. You are not a project or a distraction or a stepping stone to validation. You are a presence. And presence cannot be bought. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be built in front of a mirror. It must be lived. That's why when she looks at you, it's different. Not playful, not performative. It is reverent, and that reverence becomes your crown. Unseen, but undeniable. So stand tall, chosen one, and never apologize for the contrast you bring. You were not made to blend in. You were made to disrupt the comfortable illusions of a generation that forgot what it means to be. Let them mock you, let them envy you, let them misunderstand. Their reactions are not your concern. Your concern is to remain whole, to stay aligned, to never betray your inner truth in exchange for outer approval. For in a world of copies, your contrast is not a curse. It is the most powerful form of leadership. Chosen one, there is something sacred about the way she chooses you, and it terrifies those who once thought they understood what it meant to be wanted. They look at her, then at you, and they see no begging, no grasping, no pursuit. What they see instead is a woman who has let go of all performance, a woman whose voice becomes lighter in your presence, whose laughter emerges from places untouched for years, whose spirit becomes visible through her posture and her eyes. And the worst part for those who burn with envy, she chooses you before you speak, before you demonstrate value, before you showcase status. She chooses you before you ask to be chosen, not because of a calculated list of traits, but because she feels something in you that her body and soul have waited a lifetime to find. This is the part they cannot tolerate, that the connection she has to you is not something they can compete with. It's not something they can outdress, outspend, or outtalk. It's the subtle, invisible bond between two people who recognize each other, not by history or labels, but by frequency. She doesn't fall for what you show. She rises toward what you withhold, and that makes her loyalty sacred. She stays not because of what you offer. She stays because of what you are. That kind of connection can't be mimicked, can't be bought, and most terrifying of all to the false masculine, it cannot be stolen. You didn't chase her. You didn't flood her with validation. You didn't offer her a world built on glittering illusions. Instead, you offered her presence, depth, emotional gravity, a safe silence that made her drop her shields and listen to her own breath for the first time in years. And in that space, she remembers not just you, but herself. She remembers the part of her that wants to be near someone who does not need to dominate to be strong, who does not seek to impress but naturally commands, who does not fight for attention because his attention is a gift, not a currency. And the others? They rage, quietly, in shadows. They mock you behind clenched jaws and polished teeth, call you passive, or strange, or boring, all while watching her fall deeper into herself in your presence. Because they know. Deep down, they know. She would leave kingdoms for you and never explain why. She would cross continents, abandon distractions, and face discomfort for a few moments of true presence. Because you do not just offer her love, you offer her return. She doesn't smile for everyone, but for you, she glows. Not because you give her what she wants, but because you are what her intuition trusts. And when her intuition feels safe, completely safe, it opens, fully, slowly, eternally. She chooses you, not because of what the world sees, but because of what the world can't. And so, chosen one, you become a quiet revolution, a living contradiction to everything they've been taught. Because you are not fighting, you are holding. You are not persuading, you are being. And through that being, you invite the feminine to surrender, not in weakness, but in trust. And trust, when awakened, becomes something greater than love. It becomes devotion. And no competitor can fake devotion. No competitor can force her soul to rest in them the way it rests in you. This is your power. You do not demand the crown. She offers it. Chosen one, there is something eternal about the power you carry, and it rattles every insecure foundation in your environment. Not because it shouts, not because it demands, but because it exists without needing permission. You do not wave banners. You do not broadcast worth. And yet, your presence has become a prophecy fulfilled in the quiet places of those who encounter you. It is the power that comes from knowing who you are in a world that begs you to forget. It is the kind of energy that causes people to pause mid-sentence, unsure of why their chest feels lighter or heavier when you're near. They cannot teach this power in books. They cannot replicate it in courses or mentorships. Because what you have, chosen one, is the product of inner architecture, pain transmuted into strength, desire refined into clarity, silence cultivated into influence. You are not magnetic because of charisma. You are magnetic because your energy is clean. You do not project need. You do not leak desperation. You are whole, and the world has not been taught how to process wholeness, especially not in a man. So they question it. They test it. They try to diminish it. They may say you're not playing the game correctly, that you should be louder, more assertive, more dominant. But what they fail to grasp is this. The game itself has become irrelevant to you. You are not here to impress. You are here to remember, and in that remembrance, women recognize you, not just as a man, but as a frequency. The frequency of protection without possession, of desire without desperation, of authority without ego.